All right, welcome to to the Community Shall Be Restored. I'm your host, Prophet Cedric Banks, along with
Prophetess Dinetta Banks.
we have an exciting show for you today, right here. We have running for 36th District Court Judge will be in a general election November the 8th. We have right here today on the TV show Austin Garrett. Austin Garrett, welcome to the Community Shall Be Restored television show.
Prophetess. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks for being here. You're running for 36th District Court Judge, Austin, Attorney Austin, should I say. What is it that you will bring to the bench at 36th District Court? What is it that you bring to the bench at 36th District Court?
Okay, I think that I bring to the bench a community perspective.
Okay.
If you have any awareness on what actually the cases that take place at 36th District Court, you have criminal misdemeanor cases, you have felony preliminary exams. Before folks are actually bound over to circuit court, you have landlord-tenant, you have small claims, you have civil cases that are $25,000 or less. A lot of that work, as I see it, is community work, which means basically that any one of us on any given day could do something that have us end up down at a district court. And if you're in southeastern Michigan, the chances are you end up at 36th District Court, sure, just on the basis of how busy it is and how many folks come in and out of Detroit on a daily basis. And so in light of that, I believe that the judges down at 36th District Court...
Not cut you off, but you could run a red light.
Right.
And end up down at 36th District Court.
So what brings most folks down there is tickets. So you can get some kind of moving violation, you're right down at 36th District Court. And so in light of that, I think that the judges at 36th District Court need a community perspective. And so what that means is, yes, they're fair to folks that come before them. They're honest. They listen. But they have to have some engagement or some understanding of the community that they're actually serving. And so what I'd like to bring to the bench is the community, period. Throughout my campaign, I've gone to various community groups, various churches, walking neighborhoods, talking to folks, and trying to get a handle on all 139 square miles of this city. Every neighborhood isn't the same, every issue isn't the same, but all of it will end up down at 36th District Court at some point. And so it's important for our judges to have that community perspective and understanding that the decisions that they make on the bench affect not only those individuals that are in front of them, but also the communities that those folks come from. So that's what I plan on bringing to the bench as a 36th District Court judge.
All right, and you are also an attorney.
Yes.
So being an attorney, how does being an attorney help you and catapult you as a judge?
Well, my practice is, I specialize in general civil litigation. I'm not a defense attorney or a prosecutor like some folks that actually run for office. I'm more of a plaintiff's attorney. I do a lot of labor and employment cases. And so I'm representing labor unions and individuals that feel like they've been wronged by their employer in some kind of way. And so I think the perspective is a little different from a plaintiff's attorney when you're actually saying that someone did something wrong, saying that a law has been violated. And so you're actually more keen to making sure that the other side, being the employer in a lot of my cases, actually crossed the T's and dotted their I's. And so as a judge, I think that's important, and you want to make sure that the prosecutor, or in that case, has done all that they need to do, or that the defense attorney has done all that they need to do, so that the individual client, the defendant, is actually getting the appropriate representation and they get their shot at justice in your courtroom. So I think that's very important.
I see, looking at your flyer here, you've been endorsed by many different people and many different organizations. But one of the things I like, especially running for running for political office, I see that you have been endorsed by spiritual leadership, spiritual authority, and let the audience know those of spiritual authority who you've been endorsed by, because that's something good when a political person is being endorsed by spiritual authority. And then we're not just talking about any little spiritual authority, we're talking about prominent spiritual authority, because I see some prominent names on here, and let them, the audience know the spiritual authority that you've been endorsed by.
Right. Well, first and foremost, I have to say that I've been endorsed by Bishop J. Jussier from my church, Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ. I've also been endorsed by Bishop Charles Ellis of Greater Grace Church. Albert Grant. There are a number of different pastors and religious leaders that have basically lent me their credibility by throwing their name behind me. And it goes back to why I'm running. It's the whole community aspect of it. There is no more integral part of the black community other than the black church. And so if you can actually have those black church leaders lend you their credibility, get behind you and stand with you in what you believe in, then I think you really have a shot of affecting change and being successful in your political aspirations.
Definitely. That is definitely so true. I agree with that because we are in a time now in this community where many of those in the political arena are operating in corruption. But we thank God that God is taking a lot of the corruption down in this community. So, and so for a pastor to believe in an individual that's running for political office, and they begin to put their endorsement behind that and begin to put their name behind your name or in front of your name, that's a blessing, and especially in this time, in this era, because the political arena has really been corrupted here in this region.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that you have when you step out. You want to be in political office or run for public office, and frankly, you really do have to put God first. Sure. And so that is what really keeps me afloat in some of my dark days, and this campaign trail has been long. I've been at this almost a year, between gathering the requisite amount of signatures so I could actually get on the ballot, to actually filing those signatures and being on the ballot.
How many signatures did you have to get to be on the ballot?
You have to have, if you're running for 36th District Court, you have to have 2,000 valid signatures of registered voters within the city. 2,000, but you can't turn in any more than 4,000. So anywhere in that range will get you there. But what happens is once you turn them in, they're actually vetted and reviewed by the Bureau of Elections, and sometimes folks are actually disqualified. Their signatures are disqualified, and that if you turn in 4,000, you may lose 800 of them or so because those folks weren't registered to vote, or the signatures didn't show up in the voter file, and so forth and so on. So it's actually a process. Yeah,
because when you turn those signatures in, the Department of Elections are going to examine those signatures.
Exactly.
They're going to examine those signatures.
Exactly. And there have been, in this general election or prior to, there have been candidates that have been disqualified on account of their signatures not being valid. So it's a arduous process to get out there, and folks ask you, so I don't know you. Why would I sign for this? Or what am I getting when I sign this? And so you have to really be steadfast, have faith, and keep it moving.
That's beautiful. Just keep going. Keep going.
So, like I said, I started this a year ago, and I've been going to different meetings and ever since, filing and talking to folks. And the interesting thing about my race is, there's 8 folks running for 8 spots, although there'll be 9 names on the ballot because there's a judge that resigned that the Secretary of State refused to take off. But even with that, it comes its own challenges. So I'm not running against another candidate. I'm kind of running against the ghost of a candidate or the name of a candidate that's been a very popular candidate in the past. And the issue with that is, if you are a sitting judge and you run for re-election.
Now let me mention this, attorney. Now there's 9 people running for those
8 people. There are 8 people running, but there are 9 names on the ballot. So originally, what happens is this: if the state sets up a deadline for judges that they're seeking re-election, they have to file affidavits saying that they're going to run for re-election. They set up a deadline in March or so.
Well, I'm going to mention this to you. Now, that's a little bit that's confusion there.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to keep in mind, whoever allowed this to happen, if this individual was retired, this is confusion. And confusion only comes from one place, the devil.
Right
the
on.
Bible says, right?
Right on.
Confusion only comes from one place, not two, but one. And the confusion comes from the devil. So if, whoever allowed this person to be in this race is bringing confusion in the game.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't, to my point, it doesn't make it any easier on me, particularly in light of her name being one of the more popular judges that was at 36th District Court. The last time that this group of judges run on 6-year terms, she came in third. The only judge that is actually running again that finished before her is Judge Deborah Geraldine Bledsoe Ford. And so if you look at it this way, all of the other judges that ran with Judge Carter before finished behind her, other than Judge Ford. So I'm just a guy from the west side of Detroit that went to King High School, that went to Wayne State for law school, that's trying to do a good thing for my city, trying to be someone that'll stand up and stand behind our community. I'm on the ballot. It'll just say Austin. You got all these other folks where it's going to say judge of the district court by their name on the ballot. And so that creates its own set of challenges for any non-incumbent person that's actually seeking a seat. And so you have to remain faithful, and that's what I've been trying to do throughout this process.
In a situation like that, where all these people, they, got judged and things in front of their name, and you may not, though, but God is faithful, though.
Right.
And he can, God can defeat the odds and things. He can defeat the odds, and not only defeat the odds, he can defeat the stature. Right. Because that stature, when you got judge in front of your name, when they got judge in front of their name, and other people may not. That's stature. And stature, a lot of people vote. A lot of people, but we have a thing in this city where a lot of people vote for big names and prominent people and things like that. Just because they got a big name or prominent people, they put them in office and things. We've had I remember when Charles Pugh, normally I don't mention names, but Charles Pugh was on Fox 2 News. He ran for Detroit City Council, but a lot helped him out because Charles Pugh had a big name. Right. Martha Reeves, she's been on my show. Martha Reeves, I interviewed her, and she said, "Prophet, I'm gonna tell you something. Now I was famous before I got on City Council. Now I had a big name. That's just what she told me, right? Yeah. She said I was famous before I got on City Council. That's just what she, but big names and things. But God is for the underdog. God will work it out. He'll work it out.
Definitely. The Bible even says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord will deliver him out of all of them. So I'm not weary at all. I'm faithful. I think that I'm in a righteous fight. I think I'm running a righteous campaign, and I think I'll be successful.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because God He'll put things in your spirit and things like that, and you just run what the Lord put in your spirit. Yes. Run with it. Yes, sir. Even though you have to run with the things He put in your spirit, but whenever God puts something in your spirit, there's always discouragement and distraction, and things gonna come to try to take it away. But we got to hold on to what the Lord has placed in our hearts and what He's placed in our spirits.
Right on. Amen. Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
Okay. How can people get in contact with you? You out here in a race, and how can they get in contact with you?
Okay. Well, if they have a Twitter or an Instagram, they can find me on there at AWGFOR Judge. That's my Twitter and Instagram handle. Or they can email me at awgforjudge@gmail.com. I'm accessible there. If they have a Facebook, my name is Austin William Garrett. You can find me on Facebook, but I try to be as accessible as I can during this campaign because I think that it's important that our judges are just as accessible as judges as they were as candidates. So when folks come for you to look for a vote, they find you. They find you when they want something from you. So they should be just as easy to find when they're not actually running for office and they're actually in the office. To come to bear and bring their resources to bear for the community.
who are some of the people and organizations that have endorsed you?
There are a lot of folks that I'm proud to say that have stood behind me. Being a labor and employment law attorney, I have the endorsements of a litany of different labor organizations, SEIU, Michigan AFSCME Council 25, the Metro Detroit AFL-CIO, Detroit Police Officers Association. I've actually been the first 36th District Court candidate to receive an endorsement from the Wayne County Chiefs of Police. So I've had a number of endorsements on the labor side. There are a number of other organizations, community-based organizations that provide endorsements and do the community a service of actually vetting candidates and making those endorsements and doing printing and getting the word out. Fannie Lou Hamer, Black Slate, Wayne County Democratic Black Caucus, those organizations have also stood behind me.
Okay. Now, you stand a good chance at winning office. When we look at the 36th District Court race that you win, because you got 9 people running, okay? And what is it? 8 seats are available?
It's 8 seats.
You got your chances are when you look at the chances, your chances are good.
Yeah, there's. It's better. It could be worse. I'll say that.
I'm gonna say this. Right. I'm gonna say this, attorney, because I'm sure many people running for 36, many people running for judge, they'll take that deal. It's 9 of us running. 8 seats is available. Yeah. I'm a man of God. I stand a chance. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that.
I stand not only a chance, but I stand a good chance.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So the floor is yours.
So yeah. So there was, like I said, I've been doing this for about a year when I decided that I wanted to run for judge. And I wanted to run for 36th District Court judge. There are 3 different races, so I had to try to figure out, which one I wanted to get in. And I chose the regular term incumbent race, which is the one with the 8 people. Because of, 1, the numbers of it, and 2, and I didn't know that Judge Carter was going to resign at the time, but because I believe that elections are about accountability. And I have heard and I've seen some things about 36th District Court that didn't necessarily sit right with me. There was a bankruptcy in the city of Detroit. I'm sure you're aware of that. But a lot of the folks out in the community weren't also aware that there was a receivership at 36th District Court around that same time. And so the state took over the court, replaced a chief judge, made a litany of different changes there at the court, and there wasn't the amount of information coming from the court about those changes that I think that there should have been, particularly in light of the fact that the citizens of the city of Detroit are actually paying for the court. Taxpayers, they own the court, they own those seats. And so we need some more engagement, I think, from our judiciary on that front, and that's why I'm in this race.
Okay, all right. Pastor Donetta, do you have a question for Attorney Garrett?
For the 36th District Court, it's my understanding you have like different types of cases, the civil, the misdemeanor, the driver, and that type of thing. Looking at that, what preference would you desire of your docket if you were to get on it, or do you have one?
Yeah, I don't have a preference at this point. I picked 36th District Court as where I wanted to be a judge because they do all those different things. Okay. And the fact that it's one of the busier courts and it's Detroit based, and you really have an opportunity to affect people's lives in a positive way, and at least give them something positive to go away from the court system. And so I don't have a preference. I'd like to do it all and see what I feel most comfortable at, but the first things first is I need to get there.
Okay, beautiful. Anything else up on your heart that you may want to say?
Well, I think that this election is an important election, and elections are all about accountability. And so when you look at the candidates for whatever race, As a voter, you have to ask yourself, do they exemplify what you want to see in somebody that's going to be representing you? And the Bible, in the book of Micah, there's a question. It's what does the Lord require of thee? And the response is to love, to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with thy God. And I think that is the kind of the question that us voters need to be asking of those that are seeking to represent us. We want justice, certainly, from our judges. We want mercy, certainly, from our judges. And we definitely want humility from those folks that we're actually electing. And so I think that those are principles that guide my life, not only this campaign. And I think those are important questions that we need to ask as voters. And I hope that I exhibit those for those folks on November 8th.
All right. All right. That is so beautiful. You got another question for Attorney Garrett?
How long have you been practicing law? And have all your law been just with labor, which is great, but is that your only experience? And how long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing for 7 years. And no, I've done such a wide range. I've actually done some defense work. It's not necessarily something that I focused on terribly, but I've done work down at 36th District Court, landlord-tenant. I've done civil cases at 36th District Court, labor cases before the National Labor Relations Board and the Michigan Employment Relations Commission, whistleblower cases in circuit court, federal court cases on ADA and FMLA discrimination. So I've had the fortune in that 7 years of practicing to really do a lot of different things that I think prepare me for this seat that I'm seeking.
Okay. All righty. Let's keep going.
Keep going. Austin Garrett, November 8th is the election day, but absentee ballots are out. So if you're watching this and you have your absentee ballot in front of you, please check my name. Once you find it, a lot of folks say when they're giving their speech to different groups, it says, well, I want you to keep me in mind on November 8th or whenever the election day is. I don't want you to keep me in your mind while you're voting for somebody else. I want your vote. So it's important that you vote for me. I really want to bring the community to the bench with me. That is what this campaign is about. This campaign is also about self-determination for citizens of the city of Detroit. It's about electing our own judges. It's about not allowing the governor or anybody else to select our elected officials. I think that has happened far too much in this city and across the state, frankly. And there is an issue as far as that ninth name, and if she beats out myself or the other seven candidates, then the governor gets to appoint. I think the governor has appointed maybe 79 or so judges since he's been in office. And what that sets up is the community is kind of deprived of its choice because, hey, he's going to pick for you. And if you know about judicial elections, once you're a judge and you're on the ballot, it says judge next to your name. And unless you have been an attorney or a litigant in that court, you're not going to know who that judge is. And so the general assumption is that, hey, they're a judge now, they're probably a good judge, and I'm going to check their name off again. I haven't seen them on TV. And so it really sets up a problem when you have this appointment processes that is basically bypassing the community and selecting folks that are making decisions that are so integral to our day-to-day lives. And so I really encourage everyone to, one, get out and vote, but two, know something about the individuals that you're voting for and know something about the process. Part of the biggest joy that I've had in this campaign, other than meeting people and smiling and joking, is trying to educate folks on the electoral process in general. So many people are lost on how the electoral process affects their day-to-day lives. So I've done expungement fairs with Judge Deborah Thomas, who's actually running for Supreme Court now, who's a great judge and I think merits every Michigander's vote for Supreme Court. But there are rules for what types of crimes that can be expunged and how many. So you got one felony or two misdemeanors. That is determined by the state legislature. There's law on that. And so you have a number of people in this jurisdiction in the city of Detroit that are running around with 2 felonies and 3 misdemeanors, where they can't get that stuff expunged. And it's more folks than you would think. And it's really tragic when we're at these expungement fairs and we're talking about how to get these things off your record so you can get public assistance, or you can get better housing, or you can find a job, and then there's so many folks that you can't actually help. And we ask them, it says, well, how many of you folks vote? Not everybody raises their hand, but we ask again and say, well, when these politicians come to talk to you, folks are running for state rep or state senate, how many of you know where those folks stand on expungement? And then everybody kind of looks around at each other. And so I think it's really important that we get more involved in this political process, because if we in fact elect folks that think like us and that will act on our behalf truly, then we won't have a number of the issues that we have now. And that's just really been the joy and the crux of what I've been trying to do with this. Certainly I want to win. Certainly I want to be a judge at 36th District Court. I want to provide justice in the court and justice in the community. But I really, really, really am a stickler for trying to educate folks about this electoral process. These votes matter. The folks that you put in these seats matter. And we need to make sure that we're electing the right folks that are doing things that actually benefit us and don't just keep things the same. Because I think we need to progress as a city, and we can do that the more information we know.
Okay, Attorney Garrett, are there any platforms that you're going to be on between now and November the 8th where the community can come out and see you, and where the community can come out and partake in these events between now and November the 8th? Are there any platforms that you may are going to be on, which you want to let the community may know about, that you can think of offhand?
Well, sure. Well, you're doing a forum yourself on the 21st, right?
Right.
And that's one. I'm definitely trying to be there to say my piece again to the people that show up there. That's definitely an event that folks need to come out to. The Wolverine Bar Association is doing a judicial candidate forum on November 2nd. That's something that, I don't know what time it is or the location, but I know it's on November 2nd. You can Google Wolverine Bar and I'm sure it'll pop up. And then there's another event on November 4th that's a judicial candidate forum. So there's a number of different places that I'm going to try to be between now and Election Day. I cannot be everywhere, but please, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, look me up. I'm always available. I am doing this because I love the city and I love you.
All right. Well, what a great show today. Dynamic show today. Wonderful attorney looking to go to the next level at 36th District Court. I've been your host today, Prophet Cedric Banks, along with
Prophetess Donetta Banks.
And along with
Austin W. Garrett for 36th District Court Judge.
And what day? Voting day?
November 8th, 2016.
All right. Don't forget to vote. God bless you, and we'll see you next Saturday right here at 8 p.m. See you then.